So I wanted to take a second and talk about my favorite things that I saw, watched, streamed, if you will, over 2020. I think it's safe to say that a lot of us probably watched a little more TV than we're normally accustomed to, just given the fact with the quarantines and pandemics and whatnot. Streaming and Netflix really became quite our source of entertainment for a while there. There was one movie that I did see in theaters prior to everything shutting down, and that was Bad Boys for Life. I'm a fan of the franchise. I like the first two. Mindless popcorn flicks. You have fun because they're comical, but at the same time, action-packed and a pretty good story. This time around, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith still have that chemistry. They don't hide the fact that the characters are now in their 50s. They actually play upon that a little bit. You get callbacks to some of the old things that you remember, plus you get some new characters added in. And all in all, truthfully, it was a good watch. Good mindless 2+ hours of your time that you can forget about life for a while with. So Bad Boys for Life starts my list. One of the first things that really hit streaming platforms that was actually a big movie was Onward. This one's with Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, and a pretty good cast overall about two brothers who go on a mythical journey to spend one more day with their lost father. And I think I like this because I've always said that if I could go back in time to spend one more day with my grandmother, I would probably do that no matter what I had to do to get there. It's got heart to it, much like a lot of those Disney Pixar movies do. There's a good message kind of hidden in the animation and in the story. So check out Onward. Also moving down my list, we'll stay on the animation curve for a second for Soul. This one just dropped a couple of weeks ago, and I love it, one, because Trent Reznor did the soundtrack, which is really surprising because it's a lot of jazz-based stuff, and you wouldn't necessarily expect that from Trent Reznor. But it's pretty good. Joe's a guy who his life didn't quite go the way he wanted to, and jazz is his true passion, and he goes kind of on this journey to teach people how to find their passion through music. Such a good movie. Again, a lot of hidden meaning underneath the animation. It's one of those things where kids can watch it for the animation, but the adults kind of get something more out of it. But if you have not streamed Soul yet, you can find it on Disney+. Good stuff for sure. A couple of other things out there will stay on the streaming course. The documentary scene was pretty strong this year for a lot of different reasons. One of the first ones, ESPN aired it originally, The Last Dance. This was the story of that final Chicago Bulls franchise run. And back in the day, actually, there was a documentary crew that followed Jordan around, and he sat on all this footage for years, never did anything with it, and now 20+ years later, it creates The Last Dance. A lot of people say this was just done to glorify Jordan. Maybe, but the guy is the best to play the game. Sorry, LeBron fans. And then also, Scottie Pippen came out and said he didn't necessarily like the way he was portrayed, but one thing that was cool was it was a look inside one of the most impressive sports dynasties of the last 50 years. That Chicago Bulls teams of the 90s were incredible, and to be able to see the inside of what it took for them to get there, you get stories behind some of the epic things like the shot and then the shot again, and the game that Jordan had a fever and was sick and went out there and just dominated. You get to see inside of that. Plus, it's fun to go back to the 90s for a while. I was a kid when a lot of that stuff happened, so I didn't really necessarily have the same knowledge that I do now of some of the things that went on. But it's a fun watch. Nonetheless, you can find that now in its entirety on Netflix. And while you're there, we could not mention 2020 without talking about Tiger King. Yeah, I've said for a long time, if you ever want to feel better about your life, there are a couple of places you can go. Walmart and traffic court are usually the first two that come to mind, but if you really can't go anywhere and you want to watch something that makes you feel better about your life, Tiger King is the thing to watch. This thing is, one, I had no idea that zookeepers and there was this much drama going around that, but there is. It's got everything you could possibly think of wrapped up in this documentary, and you will just immediately feel better when watching it, going, you know what, for as bad as I have it, I'm not Joe Exotic, who, by the way, is still waiting for a pardon from Trump. We'll see if that happens. Most likely, probably not going to, and we may never know which tiger actually ate Carol Baskin's lost or missing husband. Either way, throw Tiger King on the list of things that I had to watch, even if it was a train wreck. On a better note where documentaries are concerned, this one dropped on HBO Max right before Christmas, the Bee Gees' How to Mend a Broken Heart documentary. I'm not a fan of 70s music, never was. That's more my mom's thing than it is mine. But this documentary was really cool. One, just the story of the brothers and what they went through and the tragedy and the loss that has kind of encompassed their lives. But also, you do get a different look at the music, and it is pretty cool to see what it took to get them there and who all they've influenced and worked with going forward. So catch that on HBO Max if you get a chance. And the one thing for network TV that I thought was really cool this year was Big Sky. ABC's been notorious for the last couple of years of taking big-name actors, bringing them onto the television scene and doing what they call like a maxi miniseries. This one is about girls who get kidnapped in the middle of Montana. There's a creepy state trooper, there's a creepy truck driver, there's a lot of creepiness going on, there's some shocking things that happen right out of the gate, and then they're on their mid-season finale right now, so there's only 5 episodes to stream, but the end of it, you're like, damn. So it's cool. Big Sky you can find on abc.com. And lastly, in 2020, I would be remiss if I did not mention The Mandalorian. Not just being a Star Wars fan, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, The Mandalorian is a show that you probably should get hip to because everybody's talking about it. Season 2 was incredible. 8 episodes, start to finish, really good stuff. Great directors, great characters, and of course that twist at the end that nobody expected or saw coming kind of rejuvenated the Star Wars franchise, which did has really messed it up with the sequel trilogy. But I could do an entire 2-hour discussion on Star Wars, which one day I will. But either way, it's Star Warsy enough that the fans, the diehard fans, love it, but it's not so Star Warsy that the common person couldn't jump in and go, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. And by now, everybody has heard of Grogu, or AKA Baby Yoda. If you don't know, yeah, he's out there. In any case, that's the things that I found this year that I watched the most in 2020 that I liked. Hopefully you like some of those. If not, check them out. If you've got some recommendations for me, that's something that I missed. I know there's a lot of good stuff out there like Ava and Queen's Gambit. I'll get to it eventually. I got a little busy during the holiday season, but nonetheless, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Be good.